What day is it?
The 18th.
Yes, 18th of December. It's Tuesday and we are on our way to Baltimore.
Yeah.
And yesterday when we were going to Dutch Country, Melanie met somebody nice at the Harley factory. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, because we had to go there again to get something changed. Anyway, at the welcoming desk, there usually sits a lady, but she had a Christmas party, so her husband was there for her. And we got talking, and he told me that he's from Canada originally, and he's actually from the area where Marcus, Ben's brother, is from. So he knows where Marcus is living, and he knows the area really well. And anyway, so I asked him, you know, how he got here, like what made him move here. And he told me his story that in 2003 he sold his house and everything he has and bought a Harley. And then with the Harley he just traveled the US, as many states as he could, and he also came to Pennsylvania to do the factory tour like we did. But he came on a Sunday and they didn't do the tour on Sunday, so he had to stay for another night and did it on Monday. And but ended up staying a whole month. And during that time, he fell in love with his wife, which is the lady at the welcoming desk.
First person he met at Harley, huh?
Yeah.
So cool.
He eventually stayed here and they got married. But he said to after he went home to visit his dad, you know, after his travels, his dad said that he had changed. And I know that is true. You know, when you go when you travel by yourself or you know go somewhere where you haven't been before, or yeah, you just go away for a while, it changes you. You're not the same person anymore, and you learn quite a bit about others, about yourself, and it just changes.
How's it with you guys? Have you learned a lot yet?
Yes.
Has it been worth it?
Yes.
I think so too. What?
No! And can I please, Daddy?
What? Okay, in a minute. If you change the no into a yes.
Jay wants to tell you something.
Okay. All right. Well, the nice thing is we are pretty centrally located here, so Baltimore is not far away, DC is not far away, and we are doing Baltimore today. If we can, DC tomorrow, before we head on out, possibly before the weekend. We haven't decided yet if we want to make it down to Florida for Christmas or maybe stay up here where it's colder. So, surprise! Just see what happens.
Hi, it's me again, George Washington. Today we will talk about Maryland. The capital is Annapolis. The population is about 5 million. Maryland will fit about 11 times in Germany. The biggest city is Baltimore. State flower, black-eyed Susan. State tree, white oak. State bird, Baltimore. State motto, Ultima Sci Parole Femina. Male works, female words. State song, Maryland, my Maryland. The state is named after Queen Henrietta Maria. The state was first explored 1608 by Captain John Smith. 1634, 200 British settlers moved close to the St. Mary River. Tobacco and shrimp are important products of the state. 1788, Maryland became the 7th state of the United States. Enjoy the rest of the video.
We are here today at Fort McHenry National Monument and Historic Shrine. And this is the visitor center here. We are in Baltimore and we are going to learn about the Star-Spangled Banner today. And I always thought that song came about during the Revolutionary War, but as far as I understand now, it didn't. And we're going to find out all about it today. And I hope the kids will learn a lot. And me and Melanie. This is the back side of the visitor center. We just came out. There's an 8-minute video you can watch You do have to pay an entrance fee if you have America the Beautiful, which we have. It is free, otherwise you have to pay $15. For adults, children under 16 are also free. And this is Fort Henry. It was basically the last defense in 1814 against the invading British forces against Baltimore. And they started bombarding this fort with all they had, and the Americans were fighting back with all they had. And there was one person, Francis Scott Key, that was watching all that. He was American, but he was on one of the British ships. And in the morning, after watching this horrific bombardment, he looked and he saw the American flag still waving, and it inspired him to jot down a few lines, and essentially that developed into the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. And it's really kind of cool to be here and look over the harbor. What a beautiful day today. It is beautiful out here, but it is cold and the wind. These cannons are actually not from the War of 1812. Looks like they're from the Civil War, the 1860s period. But you can see the good position that this fort had, and why the British had to get by here. This is interesting. It talks about how Maryland as a border state was actually pretty pro-South, and that when President Lincoln was voted into office, he had to kind of put martial law and order and make sure that the South didn't take Maryland to be part of the South, because then Washington DC would have been surrounded by the Confederacy. And this place was actually used as kind of a holding area for some of those very vocal people that were pro-South, and then also for just Confederate soldiers. And here's some of the cells you can see, and we put our Confederates in there. Oh, I like the bunk beds too that they built here.
And something other?
Other than that, the buildings. Do you want to draw one of the nice homes here, like the barracks? That's a good idea.
And what they would have done eventually in these probably.
Oh, cool.
These are all our period uniforms. Obviously not all original. They're all remanufactured. This would be militia. Right? This is what we had more than anything around here is militia. And you can tell they're well used.
Fort McHenry. We will always remember you for the place where Eli pulled his tooth.
It's out.
Good job, Eli. So this is actually the size of cannons that the Americans used to defend themselves. They were 50, from what we learned, 50 British ships that were sitting in the bay, but only 5 could get close enough because the water was so shallow. And there were basically bombing ships with mortar cannons that would shoot up the mortar about a mile up high, and then they tried to have it explode over the fort, trying to kill the people that were in here. The Americans didn't give up. It lasted all throughout the night, and finally in the morning the British basically gave up and sailed away. And they actually received one direct hit to the place where all the black powder was stored, right in here, but luckily it didn't go off.
All right, I pledge. To be the best human ranger. To be the best human ranger. To honor, protect, and learn. To honor, protect, and learn. About Fort McHenry. About Fort McHenry. And other national parks. And other national parks. All right, here you guys go.
Yay. Good job.
I'm first.
This was Fort McHenry, the only National Historic Site that's also deemed a national shrine. Just FYI.
I like it.
You liked it?
And can I have my,
Awesome.
can I have water?
Anybody else? How did you like it?
Just take the paper.
I really liked it too.
For the other one, you won't
I
get
want a,
Emmy's mad. She only got one badge, even though she filled out 2 packets. The other one we have to send in so she can get her badge.
Do that. Okay.
But where are they going to send it?
Yeah. But it was really worth finding out about the national anthem, how it came about, who wrote it, why, and seeing the site that inspired it. So really nice. And then also talking to the rangers. They have rangers and they have volunteers. And we talked to one of the volunteers, and just amazing how much time they put in without getting paid for it really, and all the money they spend on the clothing and so forth. So
Yeah. Like the ranger, we talked to the older one. He's a carpenter, and he built the wooden furnitures here to show, you know,
The
the
bunk
beds,
beds.
the bunk beds, and some cupboards and stuff. And he basically did that out of his own pocket, you know. And
yeah, they don't even get the materials.
yeah,
he
not
said.
even the materials, nothing. And he just makes that because he loves it here so much, and he wants to preserve it. And he also buys his own clothing because they have a living history here, especially during the summertime. And then the people who work here or help here, they dress up and just reenact or show how it was back in time.
So he took us upstairs and showed us some of those uniforms. Like one of the jackets he showed us is worth cost $1,200. So a lot of money they put in. So thank you.
And they're getting the clothing from Gettysburg. There are like several sutlers who still make them by hand. They don't sew them with a sewing machine.
See the helicopter over there?
But they sew it all by hand, and that's why it's really expensive. And it's like the originals back in the days. They really
There's a helicopter taking off right now. Sorry, cool.
yeah, and they really put an emphasis on the clothing being original.
Yeah.
So if something is different, then they don't buy it.
They don't want it. So come here if you can.
So we are at a cemetery here in Baltimore, and we just found the gravesite of Edgar Allan Poe. When you get to the church and the gravesite, there is, or actually the cemetery, there is a memorial stone right by the entrance, and we thought that was it, but it's actually here in the back behind the church in the corner. Edgar Allan Poe's grave, and then over here is his grandfather's grave, David Poe Sr. So good thing we went back here. And Linus just found a bone. It's a little grossed out. And we're wondering whose bone that is.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and